Hi, this is Theandra, and you're listening to the A&T Friendship Diaries podcast. Please remember to subscribe, rate, and review.
What's up, y'all, and welcome to another episode of
None your business.
Segments coming to you on Tuesdays. Every Tuesday, we have a None Your Business segment. And I do believe that even though that this is the None Your Business segment, that what we're talking about today is
everybody's business.
It's our business and everybody's business. Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. Yes, ma'am. So tonight we did something a little different. We actually watched something on Netflix that we're going to discuss. And usually we do that on Fridays and Tuesdays, as you've seen on the trend before. Usually we're picking something off of Instagram or Twitter that we're talking about. But this is something that my sister and I both are really into, and so we decided that this was going to be our topic for today. So we watched the Netflix series Top Secret UFO Projects Declassified. I just gotta laugh because the classified.
It's the perfect none your business topic because technically the government has told us over the past since 1950 something.
Correct.
This is none your business.
You are right.
So we're gonna, deny some things, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, by the way,
it might be it might be your business. We gonna give you a little trinkle at a time.
And on the other hand, I am intrigued. I'm a curious person, right? It's very rare that I'm gonna find things that scare me or terrify me. Mm-hmm. I'm the more curious type.
Correct.
Because I want to know more about it for something that I don't understand. So this is right up my alley. I'm like, yeah, I'm here for it all.
I am definitely here for the UFO information, documentaries, podcasts, all of it, because I myself have believed in that word. That's my struggle word. Please don't laugh at me, y'all. So we're just going to go with other life forms from over here. I have believed in other life forms since I was like a kid. Like, I feel like you can't tell me that some of the things that I experienced as a kid, just things that I've seen in the sky, because I'm a Taurus, so I definitely I'm always looking in the sky, that type of thing. And there's a lot of things that go on up there that, bro, that ain't the stars.
Look here, I'm just like this, touche to whatever you may believe, but if we are the only life forms out there, oh my God, that's like so boring. Like,
I agree with you.
I'm done with people. Like, I'm at the point now in my life. I'm like, I want to see what other creatures like. I know what your humans are pretty much about. Okay.
No, I agree with you on that. From a spiritual perspective, which we have shared with you guys that me and Thidi are both spiritual people. From a spiritual perspective, there's no way that the Lord just created us and was like, okay, that's it.
I'm a creator. I'm a creative person.
Correct.
And let me tell you, as a creative person,
you create many things.
Many things.
Correct. So they think that he just created our boring.
Let's ask a painter. Do you just paint the same paint over and over again?
Correct.
No, it's something different every time.
A builder.
Right. They don't build the same building.
Unless they contracted to, but for the most part, they want to be expressive.
Right.
In their art or in their craft. And I feel the same way is about what if the Lord would have the same thinking mindset.
He wouldn't, like, and it kills me when people are like, I know for a fact there isn't, or I know for a fact there is. Hey, look, nobody knows anything for sure, but I mean, you just can't rule it out,
I mean, I think we kind of do know that there are other life forms out there. I think that's pretty much something you can take to the bank between the videos.
Else, but I will say from me, you are welcome.
Correct. Between the videos, people who have worked for the government, the Air Force, whomever, releasing information that they probably should not be releasing, hence the reason why we have this wonderful documentary. If it wasn't for those people giving confirmation, which confirmation has always been needed.
Exactly.
Not only for the sake of just us as people who live here and who have kind of, I don't know what I'm going to say, the right to know, but so many people have claimed to have been taken by, what's the word?
Extraterrestrials.
By them, and have had these experiences and came back and shared them.
And nobody believed them.
And nobody believed them. Like, how disheartening is that when you don't really understand what has happened to you, and then people are telling you like, yo, you lying, you making it up,
or you're hallucinating.
Oh, like, you just making people more crazy in what already is a kind of crazy, strange, weird situation in the first place.
Exactly. I mean, that's my thing. Like, for one, everybody ain't gonna tell the same lie.
Correct.
That's number one. Number two, why would you have to hide something that isn't true? Like, why did it take all of these people leaking information to finally for them to admit, the Pentagon, and say, "Oh yeah, we have been investigating." They don't call them UFOs anymore. They call them. I was gonna write it down, but
she don't ever write
never
anything
write
down,
nothing down.
y'all.
But
I know what you're talking about. I
it's
remember.
like AIP or something like that.
UAP. You should Google it while I talk about this.
I was like, did the aliens take your voice?
No, they did take my voice. What I was thinking is something that you said about us now knowing about it and the information now being leaked to us. It seems like that was done at a time where we needed a possible distraction, where the government thought that we needed a possible distraction. I think you said like all of this information, like the leak started at somewhere during the pandemic, at the beginning of the pandemic.
Been leaking over time.
Yeah, correct.
The actual government confirmed.
Yes, the 3 videos that the Pentagon leaked. Yes. That was during some time during the pandemic, which I think was simply to get our minds, our attention away from the fact that, damn, y'all can't make up your mind about, do we wear a mask? Don't we wear a mask? You know what I'm saying? Like, they were saying like, oh, that's not going to do anything. And come to find out, now you got companies just thriving off of money from making masks that the government said wasn't going to help us in the first place. So therefore, they gave us this UFO shit simply to distract us.
Nobody talked about it. Like, I thought it would have been more mainstream. Like, I mean, it was a little bit of things on Twitter and all of that, but not the mass, I guess, reaction I thought. And maybe it's because people's like, you got that person that think they hide something, but everybody know
the government is the boy who cried wolf.
Right, it's like everybody like, bruh, we been like, you ain't tell us that we already know.
Exactly.
Like, okay, thank you for actually admitting it, but we been believing it. So
yeah,
we didn't need your confirmation.
Correct. No, I don't think people need the government's confirmation at all, because, like you said, there have been reported since like 1947. This is 2022.
2022.
So that's a long ass time.
Different generations.
Correct. So for a lie.
It's a generational lie. Dun, dun, dun.
That's a long time for the government to say that people are lying and to try to make people look like they're making up stories, or what they say, what the kids say nowadays, like they clout chasing. Like, who does that by saying they've seen another life form, or they've seen a flying saucer or a UFO? I think that's like a big reach, especially knowing what was happening to the people who were making these claims. The government was doing everything in their power to discredit them.
Everything.
So I don't see people just willingly putting themselves in that type of position, knowing how the government is going to react.
They've changed it from UFO to unidentified aerial phenomena. It's a UAP.
A UAP. Right. Okay.
Now, not to mention that these people that are coming out, they're not like, some some random dude down the block that's been known to be huffing paint for the past 15 years.
Right.
That's not who's coming out
Correct.
with these reports. Or,
congressmen.
Right. These are congressmen. These
Yes.
are Air Force generals.
Majors in the Air Force.
Lieutenants.
Yeah.
Like, you know, these are people
who have worked for NASA.
Right. These are credible sources. So it's like, and it's their account. Like, yeah, this is what happened. This is what I saw. This is what it is. And they feel like the public has a right to know.
Right. So the very first reported sighting was from, I guess he was in the United States Air Force, Kenneth Arnold. He sees a UFO in June of 1947. Then in July of 1947, Major Marcel sees an actual extraterrestrial in New Mexico. And we we already know what New Mexico represents. So either way it goes, he sees boxes down up in the basement, underground, wherever in Roswell, and he takes some objects from inside of the UFO. He takes them home and he shows them to his son.
Y'all know how y'all be doing up in that office. You know, you be taking home the extra paper clips, you know, the extra staples, you know.
He just took home.
He just took home some extraterrestrial, you know.
And showed it to his son. I mean,
it's a, you know, it's like, hey, look.
I think that's, as a son, I'm pretty sure his son was impressed. But what's crazy is if he hadn't took the things that from the UFO and took them and showed him to his son, then his son would have never been able to tell his dad's story. Because after Major Marcel says, hey, we saw a UFO, we have a UFO in our possession, we interacted with the extraterrestrial, the government allegedly forces his ass to come back the very next day and recant his story. So if it wasn't for the fact that he took some of the objects home to show his son, would they still be saying that this man was a liar?
Probably so.
Of course they would.
So, hence, why the secrecy?
That's a really good question. Why have they been lying all of this time?
Well, you know, they say it's to not create mass hysteria, which I think that might be like.
And I call bullshit on that. And you already know that. Mass hysteria, what we gonna do? Storm the Capitol? That's already been done. Nah, so.
Show what's the take. Show what's the take.
Yeah, like I think we're in the clear. I don't think that the American people, not even the American people, because UFOs have been seen in other countries.
Yeah.
And other countries, along with the United States, have kept this shit kind of under wraps. Like they've released a little bit of information here and there. Enough to say, y'all might be crazy, or you might not. I guess if they figure if they keep us confused, then nobody will ever believe anything. There's so many truths. There's so many lies. What do you believe? So you don't believe nothing.
Right.
And that's shitty.
Or you have people that's divided. You have the people that are believers because they've experienced something. See, that's one thing you can't do. Once somebody experienced something and they believe it in their mind, you can talk all the cash money that you want. But if I know that I know that I know that I know, there's nothing you can say that's going to convince me otherwise.
Like Buddy, who was brought in to Roswell to work on a UFO engine. He said it was the size of an 18-wheeler. And they tried to discredit him. But to this day, he's still saying the same exact thing. Why? Because he knows that he knows, like what you said.
I don't care what you say. You can call me a liar you want. I know what I saw.
I know that y'all caused me. Y'all brought me into this.
Right.
And asked me to help. And now want to say I'm lying about it? Like that's... I was getting ready to say.
Oh,
They're so
Now,
frustrating to me.
but I feel like I'm like, okay, but everything that is happening, like it's like you're really showing like your cards, because I feel like, so you have people that say, well, no, it's just the government, they're doing these experiments and all that. Whatever you may say, it is obvious that they have access to technology that is way beyond our current sophistication.
Which is one of the things that people say this is why the government is trying to keep this so hush hush, is because they have UFOs in their possession and they're trying to reverse engineer their technology. And if we're the first ones to have it, then
if we figure it out and crack the code, that
correct,
will make us the apex country.
Correct.
And I think it's I think everybody.
I think there's some truth to that. I think there's some truth to that.
Everyone spotted, like you got over in New Zealand or whatever. It's happening everywhere.
Right.
So it's like, I think everybody just keeping their own little secret, because don't nobody want nobody to know what they got.
What they have,
right?
Yeah.
It's like the left hand doing the right hand doing. We won't know unless, God forbid, if something happened to where, stuff come to head, and I'm like, oh, you want to fight? It's kind of like,
we've been had our secret weapon.
Right. It's kind of like, who was it? He didn't hide it though, but it's kind of like Karate Kid. You remember he kept getting bullied, right?
Yeah.
He kept getting bullied. They kept kicking his butt, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But then he started hanging out with Mr. Miyagi.
Learn some stuff.
Right. And learn some things. Some wax on, wax off
Did
stuff. Right?
Correct.
Right? And you remember the little dude on the side? He was like, put him in a body bag. Yeah. Because look, he was hyped. Because he just knew, hey, our sensei been teaching us some stuff.
Right.
But they ain't know. Old boy had Mr. Miyagi over there. He was hurt. Daniel's son.
Yeah.
Beat up old boy. I remember that little one leg. Look.
He had a secret weapon.
He had a secret weapon.
That they were not privy to.
They was not privy to or prepared for.
Correct. Ooh, the preparation. So if we are reverse engineering the technology, other countries won't even be prepared for it. They're not thinking that we have this in any way to fight against it.
And they're probably doing the exact same thing.
It's most definitely.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yeah, you did. Yeah,
that's
you did
what
say that.
It's gonna be like, I pray it doesn't happen, but if something ever happened like that, to where it did get to, hey, meet me in the sandbox. It's going down.
Right.
Both of them be pulling out stuff like, oh, so you had this all along? Because the whole point is, I'm pretty sure, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they will keep it secret, because you don't want to share the knowledge that you got. You ain't trying to tell them, yeah, we got some high-tech scientific stuff, but we just gonna give it to you. No. Because at the end of the day,
I think that's the reason for all the denials.
Right. In reality, nobody trusts nobody.
Oh, well, this is very true.
And so we just fake a front like we trust everybody.
We have all these damn treaties, and for what?
Treaties and documents and signed papers.
And supposed to be allies for one another, and for what reason?
Behind each other back.
Absolutely.
It's a day old, like, we ain't dumb.
Yeah, and that's dirty. But we don't run the country, so whatever.
But
that's exactly how they operate.
So I'm not surprised. I'm just like, even if you're saying like, well, no, it can't be extraterrestrial. It's just that, they don't want anybody to know the advancement. So one guy stated, how we've advanced so much in the past 15 to 20 years that equals the past 5,000.
Yeah. How were we able to advance? We able
to make that jump so quickly?
Correct.
Basically what he's saying, 5,000 years ago up until now, you've seen a slow progression.
Right. But in the last 15 to 20 years,
we've surpassed that.
Correct.
Gradually.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I mean.
They used to say, I will believe in other life forms or UFOs if they landed on the White House steps. But essentially, UFOs have landed on the White House steps. Not, calmed down and got on the steps. But July 19th of 1952, a group of UFOs flew over the White House. And it was confirmed by 3 airport controllers. And they could be seen from Andrews Air Force Base, just hovering over the White House. And then, as if to say, just in case you didn't see us the first time, They came back a week later and did the shit again. And the government, this is in 1952, and the government still continued to say that other life forms do not exist. That's mind-blowing to me because they were literally over the White House.
Full-grown flex.
It was.
That was full-grown flex.
Was.
They just flexed on it. I ain't mad at y'all.
Yeah, was. I don't know. There have been so many different things that have happened continuously over time, and
you can't hide those things. Now, I do believe that they've been playing around with the technology, and they may have built some amazing crafts that's out here doing some amazing things that we're not supposed to see or privy to. But, and then people are like, well, why would it accidentally, show up in a little bit? Look, if you ever worked around technology, all my technology people, if you do anything technological, you know that with technology, guess what? It is so unpredictable.
Very true.
You run into so many problems and you don't even know why. You like, why my computer ain't working today? I don't know. You might have to reboot your modem 3 times and then all of a sudden it works. We don't know why it took 3 times.
That little spinning wheel of death that comes, that's what I call it. When you hit and it's trying to refresh and that thing just continues to spin and spin, I'd be wanting to pull my eye out. Like, why are you doing that?
Anything can happen. Who knows? That could be.
It's technology. You just sit there until it does its thing.
That's it. And if you're on a top secret mission, chilling, you get relaxed. They're like, oh, you turned off the stealth, Craig. Get up off the button. Now they see us. Look, they're pointing. They got the cameras out. How are we going to explain this to the colonel?
They can't explain it because it's too late. We've already seen you. We know that you are here. Like, plain and simple. And this is why people are not falling for the government continuing to give bits and pieces of information that they've been had since the 1940s. That's a long
time.
Girl, get out of my brain.
It's a long time.
The 1940s? You've been known this.
Google what happened in the 1940s? Because I'm like,
I think there was like World War. Okay, listeners, all my history majors, I know it was like World War II, maybe during like the late 1940s. She's looking it up, y'all. Y'all can't see her, but what you see?
Pop culture, 1940.
Pop culture.
Marvel comic introduces superhero Captain America.
Why though? Look at the timing. Why did they introduce? Where did that come from? That theory of Captain America.
Oh,
where did that come from? Exactly. Like, to me, what has always been interesting is when they do alien movies, and then they have, their picture or their person playing an alien. Why does the person that they have playing the alien or the alien that they've drawn look like actual freaking aliens? If these cats don't exist, where are y'all getting this from? Where are y'all getting these pictures from to create alien life forms in a movie? They have to be pulling it from somewhere. You can't tell me that their imagination. What was their real life shit was their inspiration. Area 51 was their inspiration. New Mexico is their inspiration.
It says NASCAR holds its first modified stock car race in Daytona Beach in 1948. Car race. So it's just it's amazing, like you said, the things that we started to do. Because,
you think we were able to start doing certain things in the late 1940s because we had already began to try to mimic their technology?
I do. I think that's how things come along. How we've engineered certain things that we have. And it's not that I'm not saying all of our advancements came from them, because you have some very smart intellectuals.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Which is why the government will go pull them.
Yeah.
Like, you create the first, rocket engine. Oh yeah, let's go in his backyard out of some batteries and a stick of
and a remote control.
Shout out to MacGyver.
Right. Yeah,
That
exactly.
inspired people just to
Build shit out of nothing. Bubble gum, paper clips, rubber bands. Yo, MacGyver was the show.
It was the show.
That was the
It
show.
didn't matter.
Yeah.
Trapped underground, surrounded by water, not a problem.
So author Richard Dolan, I think is his name. I have a quote for him saying the government's conclusion was that either these were all hoaxes, these UFO sightings, they were all hoaxes, or mistaken sightings. Like, that's the part that I just did like ... because how are you going to say that what I saw was a mistaken sighting? So now you're telling me what it is that I've seen that I'm reporting back to you, all because you don't want to admit that you already know this.
What if they said we can confirm that we don't know what they are, but we can't confirm that we do know what they are? I'm so like, yes, it makes sense. Like, we don't know what it is. We can't tell you what it is.
Right.
But we also can't tell you what it's not. That's what they said. We can't tell you that it is a UFO, but we can't tell you that it's not one either.
Because they don't know. They should simply say they don't know.
But see, that's what I'm talking about. That would cause the mass
or they should have
hysteria.
been saying they don't know, because we know now that they do know.
But we know that not knowing will just incite fear into people, so they don't want to say they don't know. It's like when you go to the doctor, sometimes they be real, we're just going to need to run a little more tests. That's code speak for we don't know.
I mean, okay. I see.
The patient calm, like them not panicking. They're like, oh, well, we ran some tests, luckily everything came back, negative. That's good news.
Right.
But unfortunately, we're going to have to run some more tests.
Yeah. But we just want to check some things out.
Yeah, we want to check some things out.
They definitely downplay it.
Yeah, that's code for we don't know what's going on.
Very true.
We're still trying to figure it out. And until we know for sure, we don't want to scare you, because it could be something as simple as, a nothing.
Right. Well, these additional life forms are not nothing.
No.
And they should have been, because see, I'm telling you, I'm so frustrated. If they've been trying to make contact with us, nobody's curious as to why.
Right.
What it is that they're wanting to say to us.
And if you see that their technology is more advanced than ours, obviously, if they wanted us to be gone, we would be gone already.
We would be gone already. So it's not
why are we here?
It's clearly not about that.
It's not. So why not
have a sit down meeting?
Right.
Because I feel like they have tried to. I don't know this for sure. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying they sent to Evites.
I don't know if they.
But anytime that you show up above the White House and then come back a week later above the White House, you can't tell me
what the White House is.
Exactly. You can't tell me that they don't know that that's the daggum White House. Why there? Why did they go there and post up and then come back a week later and post up again? They wasn't over Wrigley's Field.
And not to mention, the people who were abducted, a few of them that we saw, they was like, well, they didn't, I didn't get that they were
trying to harm us.
He's like, they were looking at us as we look at animals on the Serengeti.
Yeah, to study.
Right, to study.
And if we're different, if we're talking about a different life form, just like supposedly, allegedly, when a UFO crashed at Area 51, they kept it and studied them, allegedly, supposedly. That makes sense. So if we're going to keep them and study them, why wouldn't they want to keep one of us and study us? Like, duh.
I mean, yeah.
I just, y'all, I'm so I wish you could see me because I'm so frustrated.
I just don't understand. Like, maybe, maybe it's my naivety, but I'm like, I don't understand what the big deal is. Like, I don't understand why everybody act like, it's like, why wouldn't you want to know?
But exactly, like you said, they're not here to hurt us, obviously, because that would have probably been happened.
Right? And I don't think it's
just think if they've been here
in the 40s, the 1940s. Where was we at? We were nowhere technological.
No.
Now we are more advanced.
We were in the middle of the war.
Right. We're more advanced now than we were back then, and I feel like, why would they allow us opportunity to advance
and to grow? Exactly.
Like, it don't matter what y'all advance. Y'all ain't gonna never be
us.
It's kind of like the person that know that they can, like I know I can.
Y'all are studying
I don't have
us.
to prove nothing. So look, if you ever want to be froggy and jump,
correct,
that's your decision. But
correct.
I don't have nothing to prove to you because I already know I will wipe you out. So like,
agreed.
So it's like they ain't worried.
And this is why I don't think they're trying to prove anything.
No.
So I want to get into why, another reason why they say that they are showing up and making more of an appearance more so now than ever. So some people seem to think that the reason that these other life forms are showing themselves, it's really based on the location that they're showing themselves. They seem to be showing themselves more so on or near bases that have nuclear weapons.
Oh, that is interesting. It's kind of like, they drop down like, okay, like, what are y'all doing?
Right. They're saying like, okay, these type of weapons can destroy the whole planet. We're a part of this. So what you do also affects us. I understand that you don't know us, you don't know that we're here, but your nuclear weapons possibly could affect us. Now, we don't know this to be true. This is just, something they were saying on the documentary, that this could be why we see them more around bases that have nuclear weapons, because what we do ultimately affects them as well, which I could very well see that.
I could see it. Because we don't know the extent of, how far it goes. Because evidently some of these aircrafts can be invisible, that they are not even detected by our technology, that they can fly invisible. So we don't know how long they've been here, how long they've studied us. We have no clue because our technology, we assumed. See, that's the one thing about it. When you think you're the most advanced
what they say, if you think you're the smartest person in the room, you in the wrong room.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes
that's where we are. We think we're the smartest person. We think we're the smartest person in the room.
It makes the human race in itself uncomfortable. Because, we don't want to be inside the fishbowl. See, we think we're outside the fishbowl.
But we're not, though, because there's been 2 documented cases where the coding activation system was tampered with and they have no idea how. Like the people on the Air Force Base.
Yeah.
Where the nuclear weapons are.
I've seen things where they literally flew down, the UFOs flew down, and it literally it shut their system down.
Correct.
It shut everything down.
Or an aircraft encountering it, and the aircraft saying that their craft came to a complete standstill, that it couldn't do anything else.
Yeah, until it released it, and so it's just like I say, it's a flex. I'm here for it. I love it. You better flex on them, okay?
Right. I agree with you. So there was in 1952, November of 1952, George Adamski. Sir, I'm so sorry. I'm butchering your name. I'm not real good with names. I know you don't know me, but either way it goes, he had an encounter with an alien supposedly from Venus. Him and 6 of his friends were out for a walk, stargazing, and they see a UFO. So George walks towards the UFO because he's a believer.
Yeah, I probably would be like George.
Yeah, so he's a believer, so he's trying to say, what's up? How can I help you? What do you guys need? That type of thing.
We like a spot would say.
So he approaches the UFO. They English. He approaches the UFO. His 6 witnesses are kind of standing off behind him, telling him to be careful. George Adamski.
George, come back.
Yeah, telling him to be careful. And he says this encounter, the extraterrestrial life form speaks to him. Speaks to him through
telepathically.
That part. That's dope.
That's dope.
Could you imagine if we as humans could do that?
The telepathically speak?
Yo, test in high school would have been mad easy.
Yeah, it wouldn't be no failing. Everybody be passing.
Everybody gets an A.
Like, I got all the answers right up here.
Right, just listen for it.
Right, but no, I'm not gonna send you the signal. Cash App.
Yeah, and then he says that not only did he see Buddy from Venus that night along with 6 other eyewitnesses, but that he came back.
Yeah, see, they was about to investigate them for murder because they thought they were all lying and telling that that it was a story made up.
No, that's not George.
Oh, that's not George.
That's not George. That's
So that's not the one that had the
That's Mr. Walton.
Okay, Mr. Walton, one that had that thing in his knee.
Yeah, Mr. Walton.
After everybody told him
that was in 1975.
Okay,
yes.
You finish your story. I'm gonna talk about Mr. Watson.
Yeah, that's so yeah, Mr. George has the encounter with the guy from Venus on 2 separate I'm gonna call him a guy. My fault. I don't know, with the extraterrestrial from Venus on 2 separate occasions, and the government still tries to debunk him and say that he's a liar, even though he has 6 witnesses. So damn, 7 people lying. Like, yo, the government be reaching. 7 people lied. 7 people all made up this lie. And then not only did George and his 6 friends seen it, another guy who was a few miles away also saw the aircraft in the sky. He wasn't even with George and his homies. He was just a different person who also saw it. So that's 8 people. So 8 people lied. 8 people didn't lie. What you were talking about was in 1975, Travis Walton, who was a tree worker, was out working with his crew.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I like it.
And they see a UFO hover over the trees, and he goes to approach it. The other tree workers, I don't know.
Come back.
I don't know if that's their proper terminology, tree workers, but the other tree workers tell him, come back, come back, come back. He keeps walking. He says he was kind of drawn to it. And next thing you know, he is being slowly airlifted into the UFO. And the other tree workers see this. And he's gone for 5 days.
To the point where they thought.
Yes. That the other tree workers,
that they killed him. They was being investigated for murder, and then he showed back up
5 days later.
5 days later. Now, according to his account, he said they were not mean or anything. He's like, from his understanding, because somebody else said, I don't know if it was his story. Somebody else said one time that he got abducted, he was screaming, and they told him telepathically, "Why are you screaming?
Right,
we know we ain't gonna hurt you. You know we ain't gonna kill you. We always return you.
Right,
just sit back.
Yeah, and just let us study you.
Right,
just like you all study other things as well. You may not be the person who studies, but that's what your kind, the humankind, that's what you all do.
Right. So you should understand, like, we're doing our job just like you got a job to do. But anyway, that's not what Travis' testimony was. Travis said that based upon his encounter with them for those 5 days, what he believed happened was they never intended to take him, but because he walked so close to their aircraft, something about whatever it does to the atmosphere around it,
it shut down his central nervous
system. So they took him up to fix him. And then they brought him back down. Now, mind you, when he told his story, first of all, they didn't believe his friends. They're like, "Nah, y'all killed him." But then when he showed up 5 days later, they're like, "Oh, okay, maybe you didn't." Telling the same story.
That his 6 friends told.
They didn't believe him either. Now, here it is some years later, because he's been living for a long time. He ain't feeling well, end up in the hospital. They do some x-rays. Next thing you know, 2 FBI agents show up because they got some questions about his x-rays because they found
a piece of metal that
just more than one piece of metal that was in his body that they could not explain.
Correct, because it's not any type of
scar or anything
metal that we have here.
And how did they get it in his body? And there's no scar. And he said, the nurse said, by means that we do not have.
Correct.
And so why would 2 FBI agents show up for some little random guy in a random state who ain't feeling good and went to the hospital, but his x-rays show something?
Right.
Somebody called them.
And in his calf muscle,
Oh yeah.
There were three, or I'm sorry, in his calf muscle
like a
were
little flower.
4 little white things that were set up to look like a flower that were the size of little Tic Tacs was in his calf muscle. And again, no scarring. He never had a surgery to have that implanted.
And
None
you
of
know, he
that.
never knew it was there.
Unless he hurt his knee like he did to go and get the x-rays done. Because he didn't have any pain. He
Now,
didn't have
remember
anything.
his knee hurting when he returned, right? Or was that another group?
That was another guy.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
look. Hey. And I'm like, okay, y'all trying to tell us now you acknowledge UFOs.
They are acknowledging them now, yeah. But in a very
cryptic way.
Very cryptic. Piece by piece.
Because there's still files that have not been released, which begs the question of, like somebody said, let's be real about it. The presidents, they don't know what be going on. They don't tell them everything because they are looked at as
temporary employees.
And there's things going on behind the scenes in our government, and we don't know who's governing the governing.
No, because they're saying that this whole thing is ran by companies and private sectors that righteously really doesn't have too much to do with the government. Hence the reason why they can't answer questions, because they don't know. Companies know. Private sectors know. So
defense contractors.
So who are these people? They don't even know that. Who are these companies? Who are these private sectors? They have no idea.
No, and they don't know where the chain of command starts or ends. So basically you have government agencies running operations that other parts of our government have no clue about.
Correct.
And they request documents from it, and they're like, well, this is classified. You don't have the clearance. Well, then who get me in here who do got the clearance?
But they don't know.
But they don't know. I don't know who have the clearance. I just know you don't. You know, it's just like...
which is crazy. I don't know who knows, but I know you can't know. What? Again, it's one of those things like make it make sense. They're not really trying to. They're not really trying to make it make sense. They're not really trying to answer questions. They're trying to give us the information that they want us to have when they want us to have it, which is just like the government.
Yeah. I guess they feel like Bobby Brown. It's their prerogative.
I mean, very much so, because they definitely gonna do what they want to do.
Now let's talk about the debunker.
I mean, heck, that's just any random scientist that the government puts in place to speak and try to debunk.
Man, you give somebody a big enough check, they'll formulate a reason to debunk anything.
Correct.
You weren't there, so you try to make us believe, well, maybe the people in the aircraft that are like Navy officers,
maybe they didn't see what they think they saw.
Or they saw an actual aircraft, which you're right, but they didn't recognize it, and they're in the government. They fly the skies all the time, right? And they saw something that, in their mind, in their own words, defied anything that they have ever seen flown before. So even if you are right, let's not skirt around the real problem here is that they saw something that they didn't recognize.
And no matter how many times you try to tell them that they didn't, you weren't there.
Right. And until you could produce to me what it was, like, don't tell me what I did not see. And don't tell me that it was mistaken for this. Then bring me the diagram of it. Bring me
they
the dimensions and the
they do though. They bring in the weather balloons. Remember one of the guys they brought in a weather balloon.
What a weather balloon looked like. No, man.
And said that's what the people saw. The people saw a weather balloon.
Yeah, so a balloon can fly left, right, up, down so fast that the fighter jet could barely keep up with it.
No. We know that, but I'm just saying that's what you're saying. Bring me something.
I'm a Prime member.
Yeah, you saying bring me something. They have. They try to bring again lies to make people believe that their eyes didn't see what the heck it is that they saw. And to me, that, I don't know, that's what's frustrating
That's
for me.
insulting.
It is.
That's insulting.
I think that's why it's frustrating for me, because that's insulting.
It's very insulting.
It's not one of those things like, oh, speak your truth. 600 people saw this. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a, oh, living your truth, girl. Like, don't try to pacify me. I saw this. People in other countries saw this shit at the same time that I was seeing it. Make that part make sense. The government tries to control what happens in the United States, but they can't control what the people saw in Papua New Guinea. A priest and some of his little young parishioners saw a UFO land. First, they saw it hovering in the sky. Then they saw it land in Papua New Guinea. The government can't control that. That's a whole different country.
We're not gonna talk about the little dome thing they saw flying that released the gas. So, like,
there's so much evidence that there is other existence. And I feel like we as a people should have access to that information. If they can give me access to the Johnny Depp trial, if they can give me access to the Casey Anthony trial, shit that righteously really don't affect me, then they can give me access to whether or not there are extraterrestrials out there.
Then they'll have to give you access to everything. Because see, when you give people access, then access leads to questions. So then people are going to be like, okay, so if they do, like,
damn, okay, so what's wrong with people asking questions?
Because they don't want to answer them.
Well, that's what's wrong with people asking questions.
I bet you, my bottom dollar, they got all types of plans. They got plans to evacuate if they have to evacuate. They got all these plans, and they're not going to tell the people, you know, in case of an invasion, you're not high priority, so we're just going to leave you here to die. But we are going to take, you know,
right, so and so forth.
They're
yeah,
not going to tell us that information.
No.
They're not, because you know what we're going to do? The first sign of an invasion, you're going to have people trying to hold hostage scientists.
Exactly. The ones that they want.
The ones they want. I'm
not
going to
he can't. If I can't go, he can't go.
So that's why they're not going to do it, because it opens up a can of worms that they're not ready to discuss yet.
I think it's also boils down to, and out of everything that we saw and heard, I feel like the explanation of the government allegedly, supposedly keeping this secret for so long is so that they can simply be first in the technology game, learning the technology of these aircrafts, of these extraterrestrial, and having that jump, that advantage, like you said, on other countries. I think that's the whole. Think about it. Think about how this country was built in the first place. So to me, that makes sense that they're trying to hold on to something that they can use to their advantage.
It's all about having the advantage.
Correct. And leaving other people out to fucking sink or swim. And that's something that I sorry, just don't appreciate. Not, like, whether I'm the person that sinks or whether I'm the person that swims, like, damn, you can't say that we all equal, that we one nation under God, but not treat us like that. Which in then returns, we don't treat each other like that.
No, we don't. It reminds me of the words where I told her sometimes she'd be like, I hate it here.
Yeah. Same. I got a daughter that says the same thing. Always. And I'm just like, kid, yeah, I know. She always reminds me, like, I ain't asked to come here. I'm sorry. Like, my bad. I don't know what you want me to tell you. I didn't ask to come here either. But yet and still, here we are.
Yep, I'm here, you here, we all here.
So if I'm going to be here, though, like, I am okay with knowing or believing in my heart that we are not alone. I'm good with knowing that. That's what I truly believe.
Yeah, I don't believe we're alone. I mean, that's just me personally.
No.
Because I'm not, and I'm not saying that people that do believe that we are alone are wrong for thinking that.
No, that's their thoughts.
Not so egotistical to think
that it's just us.
That we're the only.
It's just humans.
Right, it's just humans.
Like, humans and animals. humans, animals, and insects. Get the fuck out of here. What?
And parasites. And
No.
viruses and
Yeah.
bacteria.
Like,
no, I
no.
mean, and I'm cool with it. Like it doesn't do anything in regards to who I am, my faith. I still believe in God and it can believe in any other. It's just like,
It doesn't change
it doesn't
anything.
change anything.
Right. But see, and that's what I'm saying. I think the government should trust us enough as a people to know that for the majority of the people, it's not going to change anything. This mass hysteria that they're worried about, like, bruh, if now I know people tripped out during COVID, but it didn't cause the type of mass hysteria that the government would lead us to believe if they released that truly there were other life forms about. The hysteria during the pandemic was people not being able to get their hair cut.
But Ezra, how can we say that there won't be mass hysteria when people do stuff that proves that, sometimes as a human race, we just don't make the best decisions.
We don't. But I'm not saying there won't be hysteria, but we're talking about mass hysteria.
Listen, I'm gonna say one thing. Black Friday. It's stuff like that.
Mass hysteria.
That the government be like, see, this is why we can't tell the people that extraterrestrials exist and that we have communicated with aliens and we spoke to their higher being and we all got a treaty.
Exactly.
Because as soon as treaty out there and we don't even know it. You know why? Because look how they act when a 49-inch
is on sale for $150.
How many World Star fights?
Correct. Come from Black Friday? Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
It's stuff like that if I was in top part of government, I'm like, see, this is why we can't. It's a 50-inch TV.
Right.
You saving $150.
And y'all are going crazy, trampling each other,
fighting,
knocking kids down, old people. That should be real ridiculous.
Over a TV.
And you got 4 TVs in your house already.
Exactly. It's stuff like that.
This is why I do not participate in Black Friday. I can't get with it. I can't get with the panic.
Like that. You be like, you know what?
They try to invoke panic. Yeah, I don't.
Come on, people. So that's why I can't even argue. Like if the government was like, it's gonna cause mass hysteria. I can say it won't. But then I see evidence of things like, yeah. It kind of does, I mean, let's not act like we don't loot or do anything. When those lights went out here for those 4 days.
During the tornado?
Yes.
What year was that?
I don't know.
I think it was 2013? I think it was like 2013. I know exactly what you're talking about. We didn't have electricity for damn near a week.
Right.
Yeah.
And the gas pump shut down. People weren't getting gas. You had so stores couldn't open. They would be closed. And because it was dark, there was no lights. Like it was pitch black. You really see how dark the world is without electricity. But people were breaking into electronic stores, stealing TVs. I'm like, we don't have no lights, no electricity, and you stealing TVs?
Right. That's what your focus is.
Right.
Which is crazy.
It's that remnant.
So that's what you're saying. The government, that's what they are trying to avoid when when human beings just go crazy.
We not recently have stormed the White House.
Right. Not we, them.
But I'm saying we have a people.
A people, yes, ma'am.
Like, and that was a small mass. Imagine.
Right.
People, because
if everybody showed up to area 51 trying to get in,
right now that they've announced it, now they will shoot you on sight. If you willing to be, in the front line. But that's what I'm saying. Like people, they do crazy things. Not everybody store is open in the mall.
I mean, not everybody got a 6-pack. He's working with a full 6-pack.
Right. Coming soon. Some of them been coming soon their whole life. They have not yet arrived.
That reminds me of the fact that you said we don't even know if there is like an alien treaty out there, which made me think about the it's probably the last season of American Horror Story double feature. Do you watch American Horror Story?
No, I do not.
Okay, I'm an American Horror Story fan. Shout out to American AHS. Either way it goes. So the last season, I do believe, is called Double Feature, and it talks about this very thing. Like in the 1940s with Eisenhower and all them, that's, they're playing that we knew, of course, that there were alien life forms and that we do have a treaty with them to allow them to come down. And now, if you're just now tuning in, I'm describing American Horror Story, the last season.
Right, we don't want to start a mess.
Yeah,
calm,
calm down. I'm talking about the TV show that they allowed. This alien treaty allowed aliens to come down and take, say, maybe 10 Americans a year and impregnate them, do studies on them.
In exchange for the technology?
In exchange for the technology. Yes, ma'am.
Sounds about right.
So yeah, that goes back to what I was
me.
That goes back to what I was saying earlier. Where do they get these ideas, these premises? Where did American Horror Story get that idea from? I understand that so and so was the writer and producer of the show, but where did he get that concept?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Correct.
At all, because
and I know the government didn't call him personally. I'm not saying that the government called him and was like, hey, do a show, blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying that this shit is not far-fetched. We're thinking of these things because these things have actually happened, whether we know them or not.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because I'm like, it would make sense. Especially if they flexed on you like that. Especially if you flew over the White House
twice,
and then a week later you fly back. They just let me know. Oh, okay,
right. So we're still here.
It's like a friendly,
tap tap, tap 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 in.
Yeah, it's kind of like a police officer when they pull up on you, like if you.
This is a warning.
Yeah, if you committed a crime and they're going to take you in, they're like, "Can you come with us?" They're not asking you literally. Can you come with us? They let you know, look,
you coming with us.
You want to or not.
Exactly.
But and how you come is your choice.
That second show up was letting them know we here, whether you want to acknowledge our presence or not. And their continual showing of themselves is a continual saying, we're here.
Flex. That could have been part of the treaty of like, okay, we're going to give you this, but don't be out here creating weapons of mass destruction.
Correct.
And here you are creating
still doing it.
Weapons. So they fly down and shut all your stuff down like, what you doing?
Correct.
You really think because we had came back in the 40s and the last time we signed this treaty was the 50s, but it was the 2000s, y'all breaking it.
Correct.
We're always watching you.
Y'all got to watch that episode of American Horror Story because when I say this is it,
it's kind of like kids. You know how your kids think you ever snuck up on your kid?
Right, mama on the phone.
Yeah, like, and they don't think you looking, but they sneaking getting cookies and stuff. I see you.
Correct.
It's only me, you in the house. I ain't ate no cookies. Who else eating them? It's got to be you.
It's got to be you.
So it was them to me in that way flexing like, don't ever think. Because that sounds like us. Don't that sound like the government? We're going to make this treaty, but then we're going to
we're not going to adhere to it.
Right. We're going to try to renege. It's like playing spades. You don't renege.
They do that so often.
Right.
They don't adhere to their own things that they put in place. But
exactly. So that's why I believe that's why they'll drop down and be like, hey, don't get it twisted.
We still here.
We still here.
Yeah. And we trillions of years ahead of y'all.
Right, slow down.
So again, don't get it twisted.
Right.
The
technology we gave y'all to play with,
it's nothing compared to what we have.
And we've dropped that to you in the 40s, and this is what you
still this is how far you've advanced. Yeah, this is how far you've advanced.
What was that new mineral? Element 115.
Element 115, which is what they're saying is the element that powers the UFOs. And allegedly, supposedly, there was no element 115 here in the United States, but then they found some a few years ago and was like
to produce it.
Yeah.
And that was by Bob Lazar, and everybody thought he was crazy. Everybody laughed him out. All these scientists and element 15, ha ha, ha. And then here it come out later. How would you know that?
It is a real element.
It's a real element.
So again, there's so much, and we're never probably gonna know it all. This is probably always and forever that's going to be a subject that's talked about. With that being said, if you are a fan like us of extraterrestrial life forms, feel free to email us friendshipdiaries@gmail.com and let us know what you think. We want to hear your thoughts. We've shared ours, our view, our stance on it, and we would like to hear from you. Once again, we thank you guys for tuning in. This has been another episode of
None your business. But this is our business.
This is definitely our business. Night, y'all. Have a good one.